So how many of you would like to have a lot more money in your lives? No, I said a lot more money in your lives. And how many to have a lot more happiness in your lives? And how many can stand a heck of a lot more of both in your lives? You've come to the right place. My name is T.Harv E.ker. Welcome to the Millionaire Mind, the secret psychology of wealth. The first thing I want to do is I want to acknowledge you for being here. There's a saying that says 80% of success is just what? Who can tell me? Showing up. So since I can't reach you all, I need you to do me a little favor. Simply reach around, pat both your neighbors on the back and go, congratulations for being here. It takes a lot of courage to really have a look at your life sometimes and admit what's going on. And most of us, well, we're not the best admitters, are we? Kind of reminds you of this story about this lion who's walking along the path of the jungle. And he comes across a monkey. And he goes, hey, monkey, who's the king of the jungle? And the monkey goes, you are, sir, you are. He goes, that's right, and don't you ever forget it. Keeps walking along the path, and he comes across a snake. And he goes, hey, snake, who's the king of the jungle? The snake goes, you are, sir, you are. He goes, that's right, and don't you ever forget it. Keeps walking along the path, comes across a great big elephant. He goes, hey, elephant, who's the king of the jungle? The elephant just keeps walking. He goes, hey, elephant, who's the king of the jungle? The elephant just ignores him. The lion gets really mad, swipes the elephant on the butt, draws blood. The elephant gets angry, picks up the lion with his trunk, throws him around, fires him on the ground, stomps on his head, picks him up, throws him around, fires him on the ground, stomps on his head, picks him up, throws him against a tree, and the battered and bloody lion just lies there. Hey, you don't have to get mad just because you don't know the right answer. And you might as well laugh now because it don't get any better, okay? Anytime I do any training, I have 2 rules. How many rules? 2. How many rules? 2. Thank you. The first rule is really important. It says this: don't believe a word I say. Now, in all sincerity, why would I suggest that? That's right. Whose experience can I come from? Thank you. Just my experience. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it true. And it doesn't make it false. It just makes it my experience. All I can let you know, however, is that the information and principles you're about to learn here tonight totally transformed my life and has now transformed the lives of literally thousands and thousands and thousands of other people. Is it okay if I tell you just a little bit about myself? Thank you. I guess my claim to fame is that I owned at least a dozen different businesses before I hit the age of 30. Included in one of those businesses was opening one of the first retail fitness stores in all of North America. Now, the interesting thing about that company is that I started that business with $2,000 that I borrowed on my Visa card. And from there, I was able to open 10 company-owned locations in only 2.5 years, and then sold half my company shares to a Fortune 500 company for $1.6 million. How many wouldn't mind starting with a $2,000 credit card loan and having $1.5 million in your pocket a couple years after that? Excellent. After that, I kind of semi-retired. I moved down to San Diego, and I began doing some consulting, some one-on-one consulting. And I guess it was pretty effective for people because they started bringing friends and relatives and managers and partners, and pretty soon it was 1-on-2 and 1-on-5 and 1-on-10 and 1-on-20. And someone suggested, Harv, you might as well open up a school already. And I said, you know what? That is such a good idea. And I did. And I founded the Street Smart Business School and taught thousands of people all across North America street smart business strategies for high-speed success. What kind of success, please? Thank you. And it was during these seminars that I noticed something. I noticed something very, 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 very strange. Would you like to know what it was? Well, maybe I'll tell you next time. But what it was simply this: that you can actually have 2 people sitting side by side in exactly the same room. And one person would take these principles and they would skyrocket to success. But what do you think would happen to the person maybe sitting right beside them? Not a heck of a lot. And I realized right there, you can actually have the greatest tools in the world, but if you have just a tiny leak in the toolbox, we have a little problem. So I began designing programs based on the inner game. What game? Thank you. The inner game of money and success. And when we blended and combined the inner game with the outer strategies, with the outer tools, virtually everybody's results went through the roof. Does that make sense to y'all? A good example of what I'm talking about with this inner game is, how many of you notice the phenomenon that when a millionaire loses their money, they generally have it back a very short time later? True? A good example of that is, have you heard of this fellow by the name of Donald Trump? Here's this multi-billionaire who loses everything and more, and 2 years later, he's got it all back again and more. Why does this phenomenon happen? It happens because even though these people might have lost their money, they never lost their most important ingredient to their success, which was their what? Their millionaire. In Donald's case, it's his what? His billionaire mind. Do you realize that Donald Trump could never, quote unquote, just be a millionaire? Let me ask you your opinion. Are you willing? How do you think that Donald Trump would feel if his net worth was $1 million? Yeah, he'd feel poor. He'd feel broke, right? Now, listen, this is the most important thing you could ever learn. That's because Donald Trump's financial thermostat, his what? Is set for, everybody pick your finger up right here. Fingers up. Make it be with me. Billions, not millions. Most people's financial thermostat is set for, fingers up, thousands, not millions. Some people's financial thermostat is set for, fingers up, hundreds, not even thousands. And some people's financial thermostat is set for, thumbs up, below zero. They're freezing and they don't know why. Which brings us to the psychology of wealth. It's very important to realize that we live in a world of duality. A world of what? Thank you. Help me out here. In and out. Give me some examples. Black and white, hot and cold, back and forth, left and right, up and down. Excellent. Excellent. Take right and left. Is it possible to have a left side without a right side? Left of what? You see, they're a comparison. So just as there are outer laws to money, therefore there must be what? Excellent. You know, the fact is that most people do not reach their full potential. Most people are not successful. 80% of individuals will never become financially free in the way they would like to be financially free. And 80% of individuals will never claim to be truly, truly happy. And there's a reason. Would you like to know the reason? The reason is very simple, that most people are a little on the unconscious side. They live only on a very superficial level of life, only based in the visible world, only based in what they can see. Now, a good example I'm talking about here is we're going to call this the tree of life. Tree of what? Life. Excellent. And on this tree grows what? Fir. Who said fir? Fruits. What's the word? Fruits. So we take a look at the fruits of our life, which are our results, right? And we don't like them. They're too small. They don't taste good. There's not enough of them, right? Well, what do we tend to do? Don't we tend to focus more and more of our energy and focus on those fruits, on those results? Yes? Except for one thing that we forgot. What is it that created those particular fruits? It's what? It's those roots that create those fruits. It's what's under the ground that creates what's above the ground. It's what's invisible that creates what's visible. True or true? Is that sometimes or all the time? Let me ask you a question. Is this the way it is in nature or not? Are you a part of nature? Then it may be the case that it might be the same with us, yes? All right, very good. So, the most important thing that I think people need to realize that they just don't seem to get taught anywhere is that we don't live in only one realm alone. We live in at least 4 different worlds at once. We live in the mental world. What world? We live in the emotional world. What world? We live in the spiritual world. What world? And absolutely we live in the physical material world. And what most people never get is that your physical material world, your results, what actually happens to you is nothing more than a printout of the other 3 areas. These are the fruits, but these are the roots that cause those fruits. This is your result, but these are your causes. Does that make sense? Yes? This is what's above the ground, but this is what's below the ground. This is what's visible, but this is what's invisible that causes what's visible. So, it boils down to this, that money in the real world, the real stuff, money, the physical reality, is nothing more than a result. It's a what? Result. Money is a result. Wealth is a result. Health is a result. Illness is a result. Your weight is a... We live in a world of cause and Let me ask you a question. How many of you ever heard anybody allude to the fact that a lack of money was a little bit of a problem? Anybody ever hear that? Let me say this right now. A lack of money is never, ever, 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 ever a problem. It's never a problem. A lack of money is merely a symptom. What's the word? Of what's going on underneath. Lack of money is just the result. What is the root cause? Meaning that the only way to permanently, what's the word, please? Permanently change your outer world is to first change your what? You know what? We're going to give that some energy by doing a declaration together. Who can tell what a declaration is? A statement that we make what? Out loud. Thank you. And, you know, why does that work? And let me just put it this. I'm not going to get into the whole situation around it, but everything is one thing. Everything is energy. What is it? Energy. What is it? Energy. Everything is energy. And all energy travels in what? Frequencies and So when we make a statement out loud, we are sending a vibration, A, into the universe, and B, if we put our hand on our heart, on our chest, we feel the vibration of that specific statement throughout the cells of our body. Yes or yes? You know, I know for a lot of you, you're thinking, oh my God, is this ever hokey? But the way I figure is this. I'd rather be really hokey and really rich than really cool and really broke. How about you? All right, please stand up. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun with it. Good job. Now, here's what I want you to do. Put your hand on your chest, on your heart. Sir, your chest, not her chest. Come on, let's go. And simply repeat after me. My inner world creates my outer world. My inner world creates my outer world. Again. My inner world creates my outer world. One more time, twice as loud. My inner world creates my outer world. Now, turn to somebody, look them in the eye, give them a high five, and say, you have a millionaire mind. I wanted to share with you something called the process of manifestation. The process of what? All right, help me out here. Your thoughts, lead to your feelings, which lead to your excellent. One more time, all together. Your thoughts lead to feelings, lead to. I'm very well known for making the following statement, and the statement is even on the very back of the book that we've been talking about. And it says this. It says, give me 5 minutes with anyone, and I can predict your financial future for the rest of your life. How? Very simply. In a short conversation, I can identify what's called your money blueprint. Money what? Blueprint. Thank you. Each of us has a personal money blueprint already ingrained in our subconscious mind. And my friends, it is this blueprint, more than anything and everything else all combined, that will determine your financial life. You can know everything about business. You can know everything about marketing, about negotiations. You can be the best salesperson. You can be the best at your job. You can know everything about finances. You can know everything about stocks. You can know everything and every strategy about real estate. But if your money blueprint isn't preset for a high level of success, you will never, and I repeat, never amass a large amount of money. And if by chance you do, you will either quickly or slowly lose it. It's very simple. It boils down to that. And the good news is you can actually change your blueprint. Good? So let's talk about the blueprint so you understand it. How is your blueprint formed? The blueprint is formed specifically based on the information. The what? Thank you. The information or programming you received in the past, especially as a young child. Who are some of the primary sources of this information? Parents. Good. Who else? Teachers. Yes, religious leaders. Good. Good. Friends, grandparents. Good. Yes, media. Very good. Culture. Let's take culture. That's a good one. Isn't it true that certain cultures have a certain way of thinking and dealing with money? Yes. And other cultures have a completely different way of thinking and dealing with money? Yes. And let me ask you a question. Does the child come out of the womb doing it that way, or were they taught how to do money that way? Thank you. Put your hand on your chest. Repeat after me. I was taught how to do money. Thank you. And so was I. We were all taught how to do money. And unfortunately, most of us were taught by people who either didn't have a lot of it or who had a lot of emotional issues around it. True or true? So how are we taught? How are we conditioned? 3 primary ways. How many? 3. You guys are doing great. 3. And the first way is called verbal programming. What kind of programming, please? Thank you. That's all about what did you hear when you were young. The second one's called modeling. What's it called? Modeling. That's all about what did you see when you were young. And the third one's called specific incidents. Specific what? That's all about what did you experience around money, wealth, and rich people when you were young. Now, let's talk a little bit about verbal programming. Let me hear some of the phrases that you heard about money, wealth, success, rich people when you were young. What are some of the ones that you heard? Yes, money doesn't grow on. Yeah, what? It takes money to. What else? Money doesn't make you happy. Good. Money's the root of all. Okay. We can't. There's never a. Rich people are greedy, criminals, crooks. Wonderful. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. You can't take it with you, right? Spoken like a true spender. All right. Do you want to hear my father's favorite? Anytime I asked him for anything, he'd growl at me and go, "Hey, what am I, made of money?" I used to joke around with him. I go, "I wish. I'll take an arm, a leg. I'll take a baby finger, Dad." He never laughed once. Never once. Let me say this. All, what's the word? All. Each and every statement you heard when you were young, every one of those is lodged in your subconscious mind and part of the blueprint that is running your financial life. Let's talk about the next one, modeling. Here's an interesting one. What were your parents or guardians like in the arena of money when you were growing up? Did one or both of them manage money well, or did they mismanage money? Were they spenders or were they savers? Were they shrewd investors or were they non-investors? Did money come fairly easily in your household, or was it always a struggle? Let me ask you this. Was money a source of joy in your home too? Or was it a source of bitter arguments? Why are we talking about this? Because there's a saying that says this: monkey see monkey, and humans aren't far behind. So generally, we will tend to be exactly like, identical to one or a combination of both of our parents in the arena of money. Unless we're exactly the opposite. Why would someone be the opposite? That's right. It just depends on how angry you were at them or at the situation. You said, "I will never live like this again." Got it? The third way is called specific incidents. Specific what? Specific incidents. Now, the best way to talk about that is with my own life and my own wife. Her name is Rochelle, and when she was 8 years old, she would hear the clanging of the ice cream truck coming down the street, and she would run to her mom and ask her mom for a quarter, and her mom would say, "Sorry, dear, I don't have any money. Go ask Dad. Dad's got all the money." She'd run on over to Dad. She'd go get her quarter. She'd go get her ice cream. She was a happy camper. The next week, she'd hear the clang of the ice cream truck coming down the street. She would run to her mom and ask her mom for a quarter, and her mom would say, "Help me out now. Sorry, dear, I don't have any money. Go ask your dad. Dad's got all the..." She'd run on over to Dad. She'd get her quarter. She'd go get her ice cream. She was a happy camper. Question: what did my wife learn about money? Yeah, first of all, that men have all the money. So when we first got married, what do you think she expected of moi? I'll tell you what, it wasn't quarters anymore. Somehow she graduated. What did she learn about women and money? That's right, that women don't have money. Mom, the deity, didn't have any money, doesn't have money. Therefore, the way of being for a good woman to be is not to have any what? Any money. And so whenever she had money, she'd have to what? Get rid of it. And she was darn good at it too. You know, she's very exact. You give her $100, she spent $100. You give her $200, she spent $200. You give her $500, she spent $500. You give her $1,000, she spent $1,000. Then she took one of my programs. She learned all about the art of leverage. I gave her $2,000, she spent $10,000. There was only one thing we ever fought about. Can you guess what it was? Money. And it almost cost us our marriage. And all I can say is thank God that we learned about the material we're talking about now and how to completely recondition each of our own blueprints, and, this is important, create a third blueprint for the relationship. Create a third blueprint for the what? as an umbrella for the relationship. Now, I want you to know something. As many of you know, as many graduates, we have a 3-day Millionaire Mind Intensive program. And one of the things I'm proudest about that program is what we're able to do for people in relationships around money. Because I know what was hurting me more than anything and biggest pain in my life. And what people don't really get is that each of you have your own blueprint, but you're going to need a third blueprint, like an umbrella blueprint, agreements, for example, on how the relationship's going to work around money. And most of us never entered a relationship with that in place. True or true? And most of us have never looked at it like that and go, let's create an umbrella blueprint, have we? And until you do, you'll always have problems with other people around money. So, all I can say is that it worked like magic, and we have never had a disagreement since. We fought every single day. Now, you would think that's an exaggeration, wouldn't you? I wish. No, some of you going, no. I wish. Every single day for 9.5 years. And we have never had a single disagreement around money since. And now it's been 11 years. Good or good? All right, give that a hand. Hey, you can do better than that. Let me hear ya. So the big question, even bigger question, the big question is this. What is your current money blueprint set for? Are you preset for success, for mediocrity, or for failure around money? Are you set for struggle with money or for ease around money? Are you set for working really hard for your money? Raise your hand if you're a big hard worker. Come on, let me see it. Where are you? Good. Nothing more than a preset pattern or program. That's all that is. Or are you set for having a nice balance in your life? Are you set for having a very consistent income or an inconsistent income? You know, the up and down yo-yo effect. First you got it, then you don't. Then you got it, then you don't. Then you got it, then... Raise your hand if you know that one really good. Nothing more than a preset pattern. That's all that is. Are you set for having a very high income, a moderate income, or a low income? Do you know there's actual numbered settings? So are you set for earning, 25 to 50,000 a year, 50 to 75, 75 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300, 300 to 500? Nothing more than preset patterns and programs. And are you preset for saving money? Are you preset for spending money? Or are you set for avoiding the entire subject, if you could? Absolutely. Are you set for managing money well or for mismanaging money? For picking winning investments or picking losers? For trusting people with money or distrusting people with money? How can you tell what you're set for? Well, one of the easiest ways is what? Look at the fruits. That will tell you what the roots are set for. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If the temperature in the room is 72 degrees, chances are really good the thermostat is set for how much, guys? 72. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Now, imagine that it's really hot outside and the windows are open. Is it possible that the temperature in that room could, say, get to 77 degrees? Yes or no? But what will eventually happen? Thank you. The thermostat will kick in and drive that temperature back down to 72 degrees. Now, is it possible that because the windows are open and it's very cold outside, that the temperature in the room could, say, go to 65 degrees? But what will eventually happen? Thank you. The thermostat will kick in and drive that temperature right back to 72. Meaning that the only way to permanently, what's the word? Thank you. Permanently change the temperature in that room is to change that what? Thermostat. And the only way to permanently, what's the word? Permanently change your money life, your financial results, is to change your money what? Thermostat, otherwise known as your money blueprint. Does that make sense to you? All right, excellent. Now, who can tell me one of the simplest ways to make change? Decide one. What else? Yes, become aware of it. Good, good. Yeah, someone said marry rich. That's good. That's close. That's good. Obviously, one of the easiest ways to make a change is to model. What is it? Model people who have blueprints set for high levels of success. High levels of success, yes? And those people have a name. They're called rich people. And so one of the things we're going to do in the second part of the program here is talk just a little bit about how rich people actually think quite differently than most other people. But before we do that, we have to take a little stretch. So please stand up. All right. Raising your arms nice and high. I want to hear a big, big groan. Let me hear you. Oh, good job. And this way. Oh, louder. And the other way. Oh, and backwards. Oh, and forward. Oh. Give somebody a double high five and say, you're awesome. And have a seat. Have a seat. All right, let's get into some of these things that are lots of fun. So, the first way that rich people think quite differently than most poor and middle class people, and when I say poor and middle class, I mean the mentality more than necessarily the result. Of course, it depends on that, yes? All right, so let's go this one. Rich people believe what? I create, one more time, twice as loud. I create my life. And most poor and middle class people, what do they believe? Life happens to me, life happens to me. If you want to create real wealth, it is imperative to believe that you are at the steering wheel of your life. You have to believe that you are the one who creates your success, you are the one who's creating your mediocrity, and you are the one creating any financial struggle. Consciously or unconsciously is still you. But instead of taking full responsibility for what happens to them in their life, most people, well, they play the role of the what? The victim. Now, you can always tell a victim because they leave 3 indelible clues. And we're going to go over these right now. But before we do, I want you to realize that I do fully understand that what we're about to talk about here has nothing to do with anyone in this particular room. But just in case you know someone who should have been here, make sure you bring them next time. Yes? All right. So the first thing they do is what? They blame. That's right. They blame the economy. They blame their type of business. They blame the stock market. They blame the real estate market. They blame the city they live in. They blame the taxes. They blame the government. They blame their employer. They blame their employees. They blame their manager. They blame customer service. They blame their partner. They blame their upline. They blame their downline. They blame their husband. They blame their wife. And, of course, everybody wants to blame their parents for something. Or the next thing they do is they do what? Thank you. They justify their situation by saying something like, well, you know, money's not that important. Let me ask you a question. If you said that your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend wasn't that important, would they be around for very long? I don't think so, and neither would what? You know, neither would money. And people come up to me in my major seminars all the time, and they'll walk up and they'll say something like that. They'll say, well, you know, Harv, money's not that important. And I'll go, you're broke, aren't you? And they'll go, well, right now I'm a little short. No, not right now, always. You've always been broke, yes or yes. And they go, of course they're broke. Of course they're broke. If you didn't think having a motorcycle was important, would you buy one? Would you have one? Of course not. If you don't think having a pet parrot is important, would you buy one? Would you have one? Of course not. If you don't think money's important, would you have any? Of course not. You know, you can actually dazzle your friends with this information. The next time your friend comes up to you and says something lame like that, here's what I want you to do. I want you to roll your eyes up into here and look up into the heavens and put your hands up here on your forehead and go, you're broke. And they're going to go, how did you know? And you're going to go, what else do you want to know? That'll be $50, please, and you'll have a whole new business. Of course they're broke. Let me just say this for the record. Anybody who says money is not important doesn't have any. True or true? All right, now, the third one here is absolutely imperative. What's it say, please? Complain. Let me say this right now. Complaining is the absolute worst possible thing you could do for your health or your wealth. The worst. Why? Well, one of our other programs is called the Wizard Training. What kind of training? And that's all about how do you manifest what you want with elegance and joy versus a lot of struggle. And the way to do that is using universal principles. And so you can be in alignment with the laws of nature instead of fighting against them. Does that make sense? All right. And one of those principles I'm sure you heard of, and it says this. I want you to repeat it. It says, what I focus on expands. Let me hear you. What I focus on expands. One more time. What I focus on expands. Tell somebody else, please. Excellent. Now, here it is. Let me ask you a question. When you are complaining, what are you focusing on? What's right with your life or what's wrong with your life? And since what you focus on expands, what are you now going to get more of? What's right with your life or what's wrong with your life? Absolutely, you're going to get more of what's wrong with your life. When you are complaining, you are actually attracting crap into your life. When you are complaining, you turn into this big, giant crap magnet. And have you ever heard that complainers, they usually say the same thing. Say, well, of course I complain. Look how crappy my life is. And now you know better, so you can say, no, it's because you complain that your life is so crappy. Shut up and don't stand near me. So I'm going to give you some homework. Are you willing? An action plan. Now, here's what I want you to do. For 7 days, how long? No complaining. Not out here and not in here. And when you can do that for 7 days, I promise miracles will occur for you. And it's got to be a whole 7 days. Why? Because you still might have some, residual crap coming to you from before, right? Because crap doesn't travel at the speed of light, It travels at the speed of crap, and it's really slow. So it has to be a whole 7 days. Are you willing? All right, good job. Now, here's the thing you have to understand. Here's the secret. Are you ready for the secret? No, you're not ready. Are you ready for the secret? All right, lean forward, hands on your ears. Let's see them. Okay, here we go. Ready? There's no such thing as a really rich victim. Yet being a victim definitely has its rewards, doesn't it? What's the big reward people get out of being a victim? That's right, they get attention. Is attention important to most people? It's the most important thing to most people. Why? Because when we were infants, we made a mistake, and a big one, almost all of us. And what we did is we equated attention with love for the purposes of survival. But they're not the same at all. Does that make any sense? And because of that mistake, most of us really don't even know about true love. We know about what's called ego love, meaning we love another person for what they do for us versus who they are, having nothing to do with us. And worse than that, we love ourselves for what we do for us. In other words, when we're good, we love ourselves. And when we're bad, we don't love ourselves. True or true? Okay? And that's the biggest problem we have with most people today. And let me say this again, that at the 3-day Millionaire Mind Intensive, and I know a lot of you have been there, one of the blessings we have is this ability to be able to disconnect those two so that you truly love another person for who they are, which means you can truly love yourself for who you are and accept yourself the way you are right this moment. Good or good? And that's another blessing that we have. And so, as I said, there's no such thing as a really rich victim. So in order to stay a victim and get their attention, these people make darn sure they never get what? Rich. So here's a choice. You have a choice. You can be a victim or you can be rich, but you can't be both. You have to choose. And let me say this right now, and I hate to be so graphic about it, but we came here to learn, yes? All right. So everybody go like this with your finger. Put it over here. Watch. Every time you blame or justify or complain, you are slitting your financial throat and your happiness throat as well. And people, well, if they want to be around you, there's something wrong with them too. So it's time to acknowledge the fact that you create everything that's in your life, you create everything that's not in your life, and everything in between. You create your wealth, you create your non-wealth, you created your exact financial situation that you're in right now. Now that's a good thing to know, isn't it? Because if you create it, you can discreate it. And you can create something else. Yes? All right, please stand up for the declaration. Put your hand on your heart. I create the exact level of my financial success. Again. One more time, twice as loud. Turn to somebody, look them in the eye, give them a high five, and say, you have a millionaire mind. And have a seat. Good job. All right, here's another one. This is very important. Now, what do we do when something's very important that's coming up? We do a drum roll. Ready? Let's hear it. Let me hear it. Good job. Rich people play the money game to what? Win. And most poor and low-class people play what? Not to lose. Not to lose. Oh, my goodness. Most people actually play the money game on defense versus offense. Let me ask you your opinion here. Again, in sports or any game you play strictly on defense, tell me, what are your chances of actually winning that game? How many people say pretty slim and none? And what are your chances of winning the game big? Impossible. True? And that's the way most people play the money game on defense versus offense. You know, their primary concern for a lot of people is survival and security. You know, so what is your goal? What's your objective? What's your true intention? For a lot of people, their primary intention is to have enough to pay the bills. I just want enough to pay the bills. On time would be a miracle. Or I just want to get by. Or I just want to earn a decent living. And due to the power of intention, that's exactly what you're going to get, and not a dime more. Some people know this quite well, yes? Or you have middle-class people, and middle-class people, what's their big intention? They just want to be what? Comfortable. You know, it's so important to them, we're going to write it 2 times. So there's comfortable, and then there's this word. What's this word? And we all know comfortable leads to rich, yes? Yes? Yeah, and that's not my experience. Let me say this right now, just for the record, in my experience. Comfortable and rich are planets apart. Planets apart. What you need to do and who you have to be comfortable is a whole different world than who you have to be and what you have to do to get rich. Is that clear at all? Is that really clear? I hope you get it. Because I would say that's one of the number one issues with most people sitting in the room right now. Your goal is to be comfortable. Let me say this right now. If your goal is to be comfortable, you will never get rich. Never. On the other hand, if your goal is to get rich, you're going to end up mighty comfortable. So here's the thought. If you shoot for the stars, you're at least going to hit the moon. Most people don't even shoot for the ceiling in their house, and they wonder what the problem is. All right, here's what I want you to do. Another action. Are you willing to take the actions? All right, practice. Practice makes permanent. So, tonight when you get home, tomorrow morning, I want you, either yourself or with your team, to create a strategy. Create a what? Strategy. To help 10 times the number of people you're helping right now. Whatever business you're in, whatever job situation you're in, I want you to help 10 times as many people. Who can tell me why? Exactly, because that's how you get paid. One of the things we do in our programs is we have certain definitions. And the definition we use of a business person or even in a job is, listen closely, a person who solves problems for people at a profit or for pay. Say that with me. A person who solves problems for people for profit or for pay. Good or good? Good. So what's your job? This is what? Solve problems. And you get paid accordingly. Meaning that if you go out there to make money, what do? But if you go out there to solve problems, and if you go out there to solve 10 times the problems you're solving now, there's a good chance you're going to get how much more money? 10 times. Does that make sense? Because that's what delivering value is all about. It's about solving. Let me put it this way. If you're not solving a problem, I guarantee you're not getting paid. People say, well, Harv, how do I make more money? Wrong question. The better question is, how do I help more people? How do I help 10 times the people? And that's going to take a little strategy. And for a lot of you, it's going to take a little more leverage, a little more systemizing, a little more being based on results versus time. Does that make any sense? Yes or yes? All right, good job. So, please stand up for the declaration. Good exercise, yes. Hands on your heart. My goal is to become a multi-millionaire and more. Let me hear you. Again. Again. And nothing less will do. Give me a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. Question. In the last one, why did I ask you to add on and nothing less will do? Listen closely. This could be the most important words you hear all night. Are you ready? What you settle for is what you get. Let me say it again. What you settle for is what you get. If you look at your life right now, the results of your life is exactly what you've settled for. You understand what I'm saying? People walk into a job situation or business. They walk into a job and they're in a job interview and the interviewer says, "Well, what's your salary expectations?" And they go, $250,000 a year. And the guy goes, "What? This job pays $30,000. Really? So find me another job that pays me $250,000. See, if you are only willing to do what it takes to earn $250,000 a year, that's all you'll accept. And you will keep on hunting and searching and creating the strategy until you get there. But if you are willing to take $30,000 and be comfortable and get by, that's it. You're done. Does that make any sense at all? What you settle for is what you get. Say, what I settle for is what I get. Tell somebody else, please. Good job. All right, let's go to the next one here. This one here is a simple one and really short. Listen closely. Rich people always think the word what? Both. And most everybody else thinks what? Either or. Either or. As in, either I can be rich or I can be spiritual. Either I can be rich or I can be good and kind. Either I can be rich or I can be generous. Either I can be rich or I can have my health. Either I can be rich or I can have time for my family. Either I can have money or I can have love. Either or, either or. All that is called scarcity thinking. What kind of thinking? Scarcity thinking. And the answer to all of those is what? Both. Both. Listen. Listen. You're smart enough. You're intelligent enough. And you are creative enough to create a strategy that works for you in your life. And if it's not working on day one, you readjust it until it's working on day two. The answer is what? Both. What is it? Both. Both. Absolutely. You can be kind and generous and loving and spiritual and compassionate and really, really rich. Good or good? Let me ask you a question. How many of you ever heard the saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too? Just for my money, that is the absolute stupidest saying I've ever heard in my whole life. The all-time dumbest, the hall of shame, all right? You know, in my book, Secrets to the Millionaire Mind, I talk about this a little bit. And we give a lot of what's called wealth principles in the book. I want to read you this one. Rich people believe you can have your cake and eat it too. Middle-class people believe cake is too rich, so I'll only have a little piece. Poor people don't believe they deserve cake, so they order a donut, focus on the whole, and wonder why they have nothing. Stand up for the declaration, please. goes like this. I can be kind, generous, and loving and still be really, really rich. Again, I can be kind, generous, and loving and still be really, really rich. One more time. I can be kind, generous, and loving and still be really, really rich. Just my high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. All right, good job, guys. Excellent work. This one here is such an insidious one. It's like something in the back of most people's mind, but they never will say it out loud. And it's one of the biggest blockers of all the blockages of wealth. Are you ready? Yes. Rich and successful people admire and model. What's the two words? Admire. Other rich and successful people. And what do most everybody else do? They resent the heck out of them, yes or yes? Most poor and middle class people often look at other people's success with resentment or jealousy or envy, or they snip, they're so lucky, or they whisper naughty things under their breath. You have to realize something so simple, that if you view rich people as bad in any way, shape, or form, and you want to be a good person, then you can never be rich. You can never be rich. You can never be rich. So you have to practice. Say, I have to practice. So instead of resenting rich people, I want you to practice admiring rich people. I want you to practice blessing rich people. I want you to practice loving rich people. That way you unconsciously know that when you get rich, other people will what? They'll admire and bless and love you instead of resent the heck out of you. Much better for creating wealth. Yes or yes? Yes. You know, I want to share with you a philosophy that completely transformed my life. Are you willing to hear it? Yes. It's from the Huna philosophy. Where does Huna come from? Hawaii, thank you. And it simply says this. Bless that which you want. Say it with me. Bless that which you want. Bless that which you want. So what that means is this. If you see somebody with a beautiful home, bless that home and bless that person. If you see somebody with a beautiful car, bless that car and bless that person. If you see somebody with a beautiful family, bless that family and bless that person. If you see somebody with a beautiful, wonderful business, bless that business, bless that person. Why? Because anything that you negate, you can never have. Never. Does that make any sense? And you got to watch it. It's so quick, isn't it? It's so quick to do a little tinge of resentment, to negate them. And meanwhile, you know you can't have it after that. So, I have a little practice for you on this one. Next time you see somebody coming out of a limousine, I mean, someone who's got some money, obviously. Not some party kids with 48 people in the limo. Prom night! No, you know what I'm talking about. I want you to walk over to that person coming out of that limousine. I want you to shake their hand. And I want you to say, thank you. Thank you for being an excellent role model for me creating success. Thank you for being such an excellent role model for success. Are you willing? All right. Please stand up for the declaration. Hands on your heart. I admire rich people. I bless rich people. I love rich people. I study rich people. And I'm going to be one of those rich people too. Turn to somebody, give them a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. You know, we're talking a lot about rich people, getting rich, being rich. And some people come up to me all the time, they go, Harv, what's with the rich thing? Like, why, are you so into that? And I say, look, I've been called a financial evangelist. And I take that as a compliment. Why? Because someone's got to be a proponent for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Amen, right. So, but let's talk about it because it's more than just money. So let's talk about why be rich. Number one, lifestyle. What's the word? Hey, obviously that's the most obvious one for the wonderful lifestyle it can afford you and your family. It's a nicer way to live, yes or yes? Yes. But number 2 is contribution. What is it? Here's my thoughts. It says this. My feeling is this, that if you have the wherewithal to be rich, it's your duty, it's your obligation to do so. Why? So that you can help people who simply do not have that wherewithal. Does that make sense to you all? Because, and I'll say this, that if you're in this room, you probably have the wherewithal. Especially you self-selected yourself to be here. If you're hearing this message, you selected yourself to be that. You understand? And here's where I came up with that, like very specifically, a good example. A while ago, I was reading in the newspaper about a woman in Africa, Tanzania to be exact, and she has a goiter problem. Do y'all know what a goiter problem? It's like when they have the big, thick neck, right? And it's a thyroid problem. And you know that problem can be completely alleviated with a 10-minute surgery, 10-minute operation, and it's gone. In Tanzania, they have a decent medical system, but it's a pay-for-play deal. In other words, you pay for your doctor or your hospitalization or whatever. This woman with this goiter problem has, and it costs, by the way, $31 for this 10-minute operation. She has been saving for just over 5 years. 5 years, and she has $22. Twice a week she doesn't eat. She has a newborn child who's going to be another mouth to feed, so she's feeling that it's going to take her another 5 years to get the other $9. So you would think, for goodness sake, someone just send her the stupid $9. Problem. There are millions, what's the word? Millions. Of people in this situation. Millions. Not one, not two, not 10, not 10,000, and not hundreds of thousands. Millions in this situation. So how can you help them better? By being broke or being rich enough to be able to do something about it? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I get this all the time. I get people saying, well, you know, what about the environment? What about this? And what about they're taking all the oil and they're killing all the forest and all that. They. Yes, some of them are. You want to save the environment? Get rich, buy a few million acres, and save it. You're going to have some power and control over your land. You understand what I'm saying? Yes or no? Yes. Take responsibility is what I want to say on that. Okay, this one over here, one more here. This is critical. The third reason is for what? Who you have to become in order to create wealth. In other words, who do you have to be in character, in virtue, in traits? How big do you have to be to get rich versus, being broke? And there's certain characteristics that it takes to be incredibly successful. Because what creates success? And isn't it one of the things being one of the best in your field? Yes or no? Yes or no? Absolutely. Who do you have to be? What do you have to know? Who do you have to be in character to be the best at what you do in order to get paid the most? Does that make sense to you? So who do you have to become? It's a learning process. And that brings us to the next way that rich people actually think quite differently and are quite different than most other. Rich people are what? Bigger than their problems. What is it? Bigger than their problems. And most other people are what? Smaller than their problems. Smaller. And the secret, guys, I want you to hear something right now. If you will just understand and take action on this one right here, I promise you, mano a mano, heart to heart, your life will just skyrocket. It will go to a whole other level, and you'll see why in a moment. Are you ready? Yes. Listen closely. The secret to success, my friends, is not to try and avoid or get rid of your problems. The secret to success is to grow yourself so you are bigger than any problem. We got the size of you, and we got the size of your problem. And let's do a little scale here. So here we are. Here's you and here's your problem. And we are dealing with, say, a level 5 problem. But you happen to be a level 2 person. Question, is that a big problem or a little problem? That's a big problem, right? But let's say you grow yourself to, say, be a level 8 person. Same problem. Big problem, little problem. Little problem. Now let's say you work with us and you grow yourself to be, say, a level 10 person. Big problem, little problem. No problem. It doesn't even exist in the realm of your mind as a problem. You don't see it as a problem. It's just something to take care of, yes or no? Let's test this out. How many of you have ever been in a conversation with somebody who's talking about their problem, and you go to them and you go, I don't see the problem here. Raise your hand if you ever had that happen. Everyone's had that happen. Everyone. Because at that point in time, they are smaller than their problem. So it's not about the size of the problem, it's about the size of you. There's always going to be problems, yes or yes? There's so many times in this business, and I'm sure in your business, but when you get to a higher and higher level, you know, the responsibilities become greater. The amount of money invested becomes more. You have, you know, we have 140 employees. You know, there are staff people. There's, you know, huge overheads and lots and lots of what? Quote unquote problems. And my wife says to me all the time, Harv, why did you choose such a hard business? And I go, it's not about the business. It's about me. Because if I can't handle the problems here, you think I can handle the problems there? Because problems are going to be with you all the time. True or true? And running away from them or playing small because you don't want any problems, that's crazy. Let's face it. We're going to have quote-unquote problems. But the size of those quote-unquote problems will depend on the size of us, not the problem. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like, I don't want to get into the big leagues because there's so many problems there. I just want to have a nice, simple life. Raise your hand. Be honest. Come on. More than half of you in here. How's it working so far? You still have the problems, but you're broke. That's the biggest problem of all. True or true? I figure it this way. If I'm going to have problems, I might as well get rich. All right. So I'm going to give you a little anchor. Who knows what an anchor is? An anchor is what? A trigger so you can remember something. So here's what I want you to do. From now on, every time you look at something you perceive as a major problem in your life, here's what I want you to do. Are you ready? I want you to do this. Mini me, mini me, mini me, mini me. So you can remind yourself that if that's a big problem, you must be very small right now. And you better put your attention where it belongs. What? On the problem or on you? On you. That's right, on you. And you don't give up, and you don't get taken out, and you don't bail out, and you don't say, well, this is too hard. I want to do something different. How many have ever said something like that? How many say something like that almost every day? It's not the size of the problem. Have you heard the saying, fortunately or unfortunately, you take yourself with you wherever you go? That's what my answer is to my wife. How could you choose such a hard business? It's not the business, it's moi. True or true? If it's hard, it's because I made it hard. If it's easy, because I make it easy. If it's successful, it's because I made it successful. If it's unsuccessful, it's because I made it unsuccessful. True or true? Doesn't just happen to us. So, the fact is that your wealth can only grow to the extent that you do. So the goal is to grow yourself so you can handle any problems that get in your way of creating wealth, and just as importantly, keeping your wealth once you've got it. And who knew that would be an issue? You know what? This is only reserved for certain people in this room. People who have or have had a lot of money and know that it's one complete world to make it. And it's a whole other world to keep it. True or true? That is a whole other world. And again, it's not about the it. It's about you. It's about you. And so, really, you're like a container. Say, I'm a container. And if the container is small, but the money is big, what has to happen? That's right, the money goes. The money goes. Do y'all understand that? Let me say this again. If you, the container, is small, but somehow the money is big, what has to happen? It doesn't fit. It has to go somewhere else. True or true? So you have to grow yourself so you become a big, big container so you can attract and hold money. And one of the things we do in our programs is we focus on not only growing yourself as a container, but consistently growing yourself. Because if you want raise your hand if you want your money to consistently grow. Remember, your money can only grow to the extent that you do. So if you want your money to grow, who has to grow? I do. Now you got it. Now you got it. Now you've got the root. You have to keep up with the money. Let me put it another way. Your money has kept up with you. I'll say it again. Your money has kept up with you. If your money's here, it's because you're here. Does that make any sense? If your money's here, it's because you're here. If you're here and your money's here, it's going to have to meet you. It'll always grow to the extent that you do, and always come down to the extent that you are. Raise your hand if you've ever heard stories about people who are doing really well, and then they messed up in their relationships, messed up with habits or with drugs or alcohol, and what happened to their money? Always comes down to meet them. No? Yes? Your money is at the same level you are, my friends. And that's not a derogatory thing. That's to make sure you start to focus your attention where you need to. Personally, I always looked outside of myself. Once I do this marketing thing, and once I understand this real estate, and once I do this, and once I... But it wasn't about any of those things. It was about the size of me. Was I able to attract and hold and grow the money? True or true? I hope you get it. Now, so, like I said, you must grow yourself to be a big container so you can attract and hold big wealth. And here's the beautiful thing about it. If you are a big container, if you are a big person, and your intention is to have wealth, a lot of money, but right now you don't have it, guess what has to happen? What has to happen? The money has to come. Why? Because it's a universal principle. And the universal principle says that the universe abhors a vacuum and will rush in to fill any space that's created for it. And if you're a big container, but you only have a little money right now, the money has to come if that's your intention. True or true? You know, it reminds you. Good. That's good news, isn't it? You keep working on you. You're on the right track. You're on the right track here. You know, my favorite plant is the Chinese bamboo plant, along with that line. Why? Because this is a very interesting plant in that you plant the seeds and you look after the first year, there's nothing there. And you look in the second year, and there's nothing there. And you look in the third year, and there's nothing there. You say, forget it. Somehow the seeds didn't take hold. I got no tree here. In the fourth year, there's nothing there. But in the fifth year, all of a sudden you see a little sprout. And then listen to this. In 6 weeks, how long? 6 weeks. That plant can grow to 90 feet. 90 feet in 6 weeks. How could that be possible? Because what was it doing for 5 whole years? Growing its roots. Like you guys. Growing its roots. So that when it does pop, it can withstand that incredible growth. What would happen if it didn't grow those roots so deep and thick? The first big wind that comes, it's gone. How many people know people that that's happened to? Because the roots weren't dug deep enough. Do you understand? Give someone a high five and say, you're on the right track. That's why it's so imperative that you keep learning and growing. Learning and what? Growing. Because listen closely. This is very important. Because if you're not growing, you're automatically what? Dying. I'm saying it again. If you're not growing, you're what? Dying. If you're not sure that's a scientific fact. I'm not a scientist, but ask any scientist and any person who's involved in physics. Raise your hand if you have a plant or flower at home. If your plant's not growing, what's it doing? It's dying. Any living organism, same with us. And that's why I have a message for all you guys and all you gals who are a little, say, semi-retired or retired or a little older and going, there's nothing left to do. Just kind of play around, and that's okay. But guess what? You're going down. You're going down. If you're not growing, you're what? Dying. That's why being comfortable sucks. That's why it sucks. Because you can't stay comfortable. You can't stay stagnant. You're either going up or down. It's a dynamic universe. Yes or yes? So forget comfortable. You keep on growing. Well, I don't want to kill myself. What does that mean? I don't want to kill myself. What do you think? To grow, you have to kill yourself? No, being comfortable and stagnant, that kills you. It's not these either-or stuff, these words I don't want to kill myself. I'm never going to have time for anything. Well, why don't you create time for things you want to do and create time for business and create time for your family? I don't know how to do that. Good. Then you learn. You learn how to do that. Good or good? That's one of the other things, too. I talk about exploding money myths. People say, well, I'm incompetent with money. I just can't handle money. I'm not good with money. That's your reason? Well, I'm not a good piano player. But if I wanted to play piano, I'd what? Learn. Hello. We don't come out of the womb doing money. Most of us got taught. But what about taking the responsibility and accountability and going out there and learning it? Learning the field you need to learn. Learning the investments you need to learn. Learning how to do money. When people are at my seminar and they go, I'm incompetent with money. I'm just not good at it. And that's their reason? It's crazy. Learn how to do it. Good or good? Listen, no excuses. No excuses, no reasons. In our Enlightened Warrior Training Camp, we have a flip chart that says reasons or results. And the big one is what? Or. Reasons or results. You cannot have both. If you have a reason, you know you didn't get the result. True or true? So, the result is rich. Yes? And everything else is your story. It's just not the right time now. Thanks for sharing. That's great. You're broke. All right. Please stand up for the declaration. Hands on your heart. I am bigger than any problem. I can handle any problem. Nothing will stop me from creating wealth. Turn to somebody, give them a high five and say, you have a millionaire mind. All right, this one is really, really important. Recall the process of manifestation. Say it with me. Your thoughts lead to your feelings, lead to actions, lead to results. Which one is the highlighted one? Action. How many people agree to succeed in the real world, you have to take what? Let's see if that's true. Why is that? Thoughts and feelings, are they part of the inner world or part of the outer world? Inner world, thank you. Results, part of the inner world or part of the outer world? Outer world. And therefore, action becomes the what? The bridge between the inner world and the outer world. Do you understand? So, you can think all you want about wealth and success. You can meditate. Listen, I've meditated for 25 years. But I've never been meditating there and had a bag of money drop on my head. I'm one of these unfortunate souls that actually has to do something in the real world to get any of the stuff. A lot of people are very kind and generous and wonderful, well-intentioned people. They just don't do anything. Or they don't do anything at a high enough level or take enough massive action to get anything done. They just talk about it, they think about it, they meditate it, but nothing actually happens in the physical world. And if you want physical money, you'll need to transfer into the physical realm from the mental, emotional, spiritual sides. And the way to transfer from those three invisible to the visible, from under the ground to above the ground, into the physical realm is through the process of action. True or true? That's why action is absolutely critical. Now, if that's true, what prevents us from taking the action we know we need to be taking? Fear. Thank you. How many people agree that fear and doubt and worry are among our greatest obstacles, not only to success, but to happiness as well? Excellent. And therefore, one of the biggest differences between rich people and most other people is that rich people are willing to do this. What's it say? One of the other programs we teach is called the Enlightened Warrior Training. And it says that the true warrior can tame the cobra of fear. What's the key word? Tame. It doesn't say kill the cobra. It doesn't say get rid of the cobra. It doesn't say run away from the cobra. It says what? Tame the cobra of fear. Let me say this right now. My friends, listen closely. Listen closely. Are you listening? Yes. It is not necessary to try and get rid of fear in order to succeed. Rich and successful people have fear. Rich and successful people have doubts. Rich and successful people have worries. They just don't let those feelings stop them and take them out. Unsuccessful people have exactly the same feelings, but they let those feelings stop them, paralyze them into thinking, oh my God, what will happen out of this? And they're done. True or true? A lot of people believe that rich people don't have fear. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So, how many people agree we're creatures of habit? Yes? And therefore the secret is to practice. What's the word? Practice acting in spite of fear. Practice acting in spite of doubt. Practice acting in spite of worry. Practice acting in spite of inconvenience. Inconvenience. If your life is about convenience, you'll never be rich. Let me say this right now. It's not always convenient to do what it takes to get rich. And practice acting in spite of discomfort. It's the same thing, as I said earlier. I'm going to challenge you right now, as I do with all of my students. Are you willing? Are you willing? Yes. I want you to find uncomfortable situations and move into them. I want you to look for uncomfortable situations and get involved in them. And when something becomes uncomfortable for you, that's when you go into it. You understand that? Why? Because, let me ask you a question. We talked about it earlier. When you're comfortable, you're in what zone? You're in your what? Your comfort zone. And in your comfort zone, are you growing or dying? You're going down. So you've got to get uncomfortable. Until you're uncomfortable, you're not growing. Are you willing? So the only time you're growing is when you're uncomfortable. Say, the only time I'm growing is when I'm uncomfortable. Pat someone in the back and go, you're growing, man, you're growing. You can always tell rich people, you can always tell middle-class people, you can almost always tell broke people by the actions they're willing to take and not take. How much comfort or convenience runs their life. You know, one of the things we talk about is that at the end of our programs, usually we talk about the 3-day Millionaire Mind Intensive. And very often someone will stand up and say something like, they'll say, well, you know, it's not being held in the city that we're in right now, and I'd have to, like, take a flight and fly for 4 hours and, you know, get a hotel and you know, this and that, and it's just so inconvenient. And I have 2 words. You're broke. You're broke. You have to be broke. If a 4-hour drive or a 4-hour flight or a 4-day flight is going to stop you from doing whatever it takes you have to do to succeed, then what else will stop you? Here's the easy answer. Anything. Anything will stop you. Why? Because you are a person that will be stopped. Now, you choose. Either you are a person that will be stopped, or you are a person that will not be stopped. One or the other. And here's the thing. You have to train yourself to not be stopped. It's a practice. You have to train yourself to not be stopped. Because it's easy to be stopped. And most of us were unstoppable at one point, and then day 2 of our lives happened. And we got taught. We got what? To stop. For our safety, supposedly. But we generalized it to everything. True or true? Look, you can throw my philosophy right out, but here's my philosophy. If it isn't going to kill you physically, do it. Just do it. One of the things I've been noticing lately with a lot of the rich people I've been dealing with, very rich people, is they're willing to take a shot. It's amazing. I'm a lot less risk prone than they are, but I also see where I am and where they are. Now I do pretty well, but these guys do amazing. And it's like you give them a proposal and they go, "That makes sense. That could work. Yeah, all right, let's give it a shot." And I'm going, "Well, I'm not sure it's going to work." "I know, but let's give it a shot." "Well, I'm not that sure that's going to." "I know, but let's go for it. Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, we lose a few bucks, we try another thing." "Well, okay." You understand what I'm saying? They're willing to go for it. And we, like if someone's going to get a little upset with us, "No, I don't want to do that then." "Well, what if I lose what I've got?" "No, I don't want to do that." I'm going to keep it simple. If it's not going to kill you physically, do it. You'll be so much better off in the end than waiting for the exact right moment and time. By the way, when's the exact right moment in time? When you feel comfortable. Notice? It's got you coming and going. And so it doesn't let you be comfortable so that you can make sure it keeps you out of harm's way. Because your mind is a protective mechanism. Its job is to protect you, not to help you succeed or be happy. Did you know that? Good or good? All right, good. So, please stand up for the declaration. One more here. I act in spite of fear. I act in spite of doubt. I act in spite of worry. I act in spite of inconvenience. I act in spite of discomfort. I act in spite of anything. Turn to somebody, give them a high five and say, "You have a millionaire mind." This is a 45-pound arrow with a nice steel tip on the end of it, a wooden arrow here. And in a moment, I am going to pick one of you to come up here and break this arrow in a highly unusual way. So you all better listen very closely. Are you listening? Yes. All right, good. Everyone hold up your index finger. Excellent, good. Now, take it and press it into the soft part of your throat and push in really hard. If you start to gag and choke, you've got the right spot. That's where you'll be breaking the arrow. Now, the arrow break is a metaphor. What is it? It's a metaphor, symbolizing breaking through an obstacle that's happening in your life. So let me show you what this is going to look like. Michelle, if you can come up here, that'd be awesome. What this is going to look like. Just hold on to that for a second here. All right. So what's going to happen in a moment, just bring your hand up here for a second. What's going to happen in a moment with this person is going to be coming up here. They're going to put the back of the arrow into the glove and the steel tip point into their throat like that, okay? And then when they're ready, or if they're not ready, They're going to walk into the arrow and hopefully break the arrow before it impales them. What? Hopefully. Hey, we have a very good track record. We're up to like 65% now. That's a passing grade, you know. All right. Now, a few rules. Rule number 1. When you're up here, you absolutely must keep your mouth closed when you're doing this. Who can tell me why? That's right, splinters. And by the way, we didn't always know that. Rule number 2. You're going to be covering your eyes with goggles, okay? There's another set over here for you. And rule number 3, walk directly into the arrow, straight on. Do not twist to the side. Because if you twist to the side, what can happen is it can get caught in this artery right here and pull the artery right out. And it looks really funny when you have this artery sticking out of your neck like this, and you can't even go to the doctor. Like, what are you going to say? It's like, what happened? You don't want to know, okay? So you're not going to believe it. All right. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to show you how this works. And here's the deal. The 4th rule is massive support. What kind of support? Massive. What kind of support? Massive. That means we're all on one team, yes? So when this person breaks this, I want everybody to give them a massive standing ovation, right? Yeah. All right, good. Now, that's when the person comes here. Let's talk a little bit about, let me show you how this is going to work, all right? So I'll do a little demonstration for you. So here's the deal. If I break the arrow, if I break the arrow tonight, I want massive round of applause. Yes? If the arrow happens to break through me tonight, I want someone to pick up the phone, turn it on, and call 911. Yes? All right. Are you ready? All right. Things are sharper than they used to be. No wonder I don't do this anymore. Thank you. Excellent. Have a seat. Oh my gosh, look what I found. A steel arrow. This one's like so nervous she's scratching herself. I like the people who throw their pencils down to look for them so that I can't see them. Who's never done anything like this but has something, hold on, as I said, hold on. This is a metaphor. A metaphor means it's something that you are trying to break through tonight. Never done anything, would be scared to death to do this. Who'd be totally scared? Doesn't look too scared to me. Are you? Okay, come on up here. Give a round of applause. Okay. What's your name? Nicole, okay. Yeah, the first thing we have to do, Nicole, is take care of some legal work. Here you go. Here you go. So you're going to sign a release form. Yeah, seriously. Are you kidding me? So print your name over here. It basically says that we accept no responsibility for your death or injury. And the date today is what? Okay. You had a nice neck. And just sign your name over here. And are you here with somebody? Okay, so your mom is here, okay. And she let you come up here? She doesn't know? Yeah. Put your phone number there. And again, unfortunately now, because of some recent situations, you have to put an emergency contact here. Now, remember what we said about support, right? Okay. Now, here's the deal. Okay, you're doing great. Perfect. Good. Now, hold on to this. And here's how this is going to work. Just wait for a second here. Now, remember I said that the arrow break is a metaphor. What is it? So it represents something that you want to break through in your life, a belief or a habit or a fear or a way of being that hasn't been working for you, right? Now, so your name was what? Nicole. Nicole is going to represent all of us, everybody, yes? All right. So here's how this is going to work. So she's breaking for you right now. This is what we're going to frame this. She's breaking for you right now, And so I want everybody to close their eyes. Everybody looking at this, watching it, hearing it, close your eyes. And I want you to determine what is it that you want this arrow break to mean for you. What does it represent? What does it symbolize you breaking through in your life? What specific fear or doubt or concern or belief or habit or way of being or situation does it mean you breaking through as a metaphor in your life? And come up with one. And the same with you, Nicole. Okay. Please open your eyes. And let's hear from Nicole. What was it here for you? So limited, be as specific as possible. What is it specifically?
Basically that men have the money and women don't.
Excellent. That's so what she said. Can I share it? Yeah. That men have the money and women don't. And that's a belief that a lot of people carry. Yes? Yeah. Men carry that too. That's why they handle money in certain ways. True or true? And many, many women grew up with that belief. Yes? It's very hard to break that belief, but we're going to break it right now. So here's the belief that men have the money and women don't. Got it? Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to turn this around this way. All right, put that on your eyes. And don't go until I tell you to. Michelle's going to be holding for you. All right. And so what I'd like you to do is, Nicole, stand over here. That's it. Move over this way. Come towards her a bit this way. Okay, good. Now, come on closer over here. Okay, now don't go until I ask you to. And then put 1 foot forward, 1 foot back a bit. That's it. You're going to be walking straight in when I tell you to go. And keep your shoulders square, okay? Now, don't go yet. How does that feel? How does it feel? Is it comfortable or uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. Good. You ain't felt nothing yet. Wait till that thing goes in. Okay, hold on. Here's the deal. Here's it. See, are you sure it's in the right place? You're a perfectionist?
No.
Yeah, you are, aren't you? Yeah, it's got to be perfect, right? No, it's not. But that doesn't matter. Here's the deal. Whatever your mind is telling you right now, just let your mind chatter. It's okay. But don't believe it. Because you saw me do it. It's doable. And if anybody can do it, you can do it. Say, I can do it.
I can do it.
So, this is a steel rod. What's your throat? Steel rod. What is it? This is a toothpick. What's this?
Toothpick.
So in a moment, you're just going to look at Michelle. You're going to go give her a hug. You're going to forget this even exists. You're just going to walk right into it and don't even think about it. You guys ready? Yeah. Ready, go. Hard! Yeah! Yeah, girl. Hold those up. Hold those up. Hold it up. Way to go. Now, stay here for a second. Look at that. Now, okay, go ahead. Now, question. Was that harder or easier than you thought it was going to be? Yeah, the actual act was easier than what she thought it was going to be. Yes? All right. Give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. Let me talk about your mind right now. Remember, she said it's easier than she thought it was going to be. And let me say this right now. I'm going to guarantee that 99.999% of all the things you think that you can't do, that are going to be way too hard, too many problems, are easier than you think they're going to be. Raise your hand if that's ever happened for you, where your mind has made something up to be, oh my God, and then when you did it, it was like, what was the big deal about? True or true? Let's talk about that. Let's listen closely. Your mind is the greatest soap opera scriptwriter in history. It makes up incredible stories, usually based in dramas and disasters, of things that never happened and things that never will. Mark Twain said it best. He said, I've had thousands and thousands of problems in my life, most of which never actually happened. It's very important. One of the most important things you can ever understand, is that you are not your mind. Say, I'm not my mind. You are much bigger and greater than just your mind. Your mind is a part of you, like your hand is a part of you. Your hand isn't you, but it's a part of you. You wouldn't introduce yourself as your hand, would you? Hi, I'm my hand. What if you had a hand that was much like your mind? It was scattered all over the place. It was constantly beating you up. And it never shut up. Yada, 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 yada. In the car, yada, 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 yada. In the shower, yada, 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 yada. What would you do if you had a hand like that? Cut it off. No. It's a very powerful thing. What would you do with it? That's right. You learn to want to control it. You learn to train it. You learn to manage it. True or true? And that's the critical piece. Training and managing your own mind is the most important skill a human being could ever own. Do you understand this? I'm saying it again. Training and managing your own mind, that voice that you so believe, is the most important skill you could possibly own. For with that skill, you truly will be successful. And you truly can be happy. Do you understand this? Because I'm going to say this right now, and a lot of you are going to shoot me for it. But there's only one thing that can stop you. The voice. Not yourself. The voice. The voice. That you've bought into that's who you are. That voice is not you. It's simply a part of you. That it's the protective mechanism part of you. Its job is to protect you. It's like the sentry on a ship. It's not there to be the social coordinator, the success coordinator, the happiness coordinator. That's not its job. Your mind is a survival mechanism, and its primary purpose is to protect you, which means to keep you where you are. It's like an overworried mother. It's doing its job way too well, but we buy into it. What would your life be like if you had an overworried mother constantly ragging on you? No, 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 no. What would your life be like? You would be so contracted and small, you'd never do anything. True or true? True. Yet to an extent, we're all like that. We're listening. We're buying the voice of protection when there's no need to do it. That voice is not who you are. You are much bigger than that. When Nicole came up here, she was shaking. She couldn't even, what was her mind telling her? Oh, what did I get myself into? Why did I do this? You're so stupid, Nicole. Why do you? Well, maybe she didn't say quite that, but something like that. And then she's doing it, and we're pushing it, and she goes, oh my God, like this is way harder than I thought. And her mind goes, blah, 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 blah. And then she goes, boop, no problem. And isn't that the way it is? Yes or yes? So, let me say this right now. In my book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, the final wealth file, number 17, says this. Rich people are willing to what? Learn and grow. And most poor and middle-class people think they what? Already know. They already know. Let me say this right now. I'm going to complete with one of my famous sayings. And the saying is this. You can learn to do anything. You can learn to succeed. Every master was once a disaster. I'll say it again. Say it with me. Every master was once a disaster. Everybody who's great at something today was once terrible at it. So it doesn't matter where you're starting from. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody starts somewhere. Some start here, some start here, some start over there. Everyone's got some type of ailments, handicaps, problems. Even if you don't have a problem, your mind will tell you you do. I had a woman the other day come up to me and say, I don't know what it is. It's just, I get to a certain level and there's always a situation that comes up. Something always happens and it screws me up. What is it? I said, if you look in the mirror, you'll find it. It is so easy to determine people's obstacles because there's only one of them right there. The voice in your head that stops you, tells you no, gives you doubt, and suffocates your life. And my blessing and my promise to you is if you challenge that voice and stop believing everything it tells you and just go for it anyways, in spite of fear, in spite of it chattering, you will soar to a level you have never experienced before in your life. So how many of you realize that your mind is a very powerful force? It can work for you or it can work what? Against you. The rule is really simple. If you are earning less than $50,000 a year and you want to earn $100,000 or more, you're going to have to change your money blueprint. Money what? Blueprint. If you're earning $100,000, you want to earn $200,000, you have to change your money what? Blueprint. If you want to go from $200,000 to $500,000, you have to change your money what? Blueprint. If you're earning good money but you're not managing it well, you have to change your money what? If your income is inconsistent, you have to change your money what? Excellent. Good. If you work way too hard and you want to be able to earn as much money or more with more balance, you have to change your money what? Blueprint. If your investments aren't zooming, you have to change your money what? If your business isn't booming, that's a result. You have to change your money what? If you have money and you want to make sure you keep it and you grow it, you have to change your money what? Excellent. And unfortunately, your current money blueprint will tend to stay with you for the rest of your life unless you identify it and you change it. And that's exactly what we do in an extraordinary 3-day program called the Millionaire Mind Intensive. It's changed the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over the world. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about it and give you 2 critical principles. Fair enough? All right, listen closely. The first part is called winning the money game. What's it called? There are proven strategies for creating fast financial freedom, and you have to know them. Millionaire Mind Intensive, you're going to learn exactly how rich people play the money game so you can do what? Model exactly what they do. Let me ask you a question. If you had a parent, let's say a father, for example, that when you grew up, your parents were extremely rich. But not only were they rich financially, they were rich emotionally, spiritually, they were kind and loving, and they taught you the ropes of how to do money. How many of you think you could be doing a lot better right now? Exactly. Exactly. And that's what you're going to be able to do. Rich people have a very specific way of playing the money game, and you're going to learn to do exactly what they do. And this includes learning how to create massive amounts of passive income. Raise your hand if you believe passive income is important. Someone tell me why. What's the word? Freedom. Thank you. Freedom. What's the word? Freedom. Without passive income, you can never be what? Free. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This is why almost all the other trainers out there send their students to us. Did you know that just about everyone is programmed not to earn passive income? Not to earn it. Programmed not to earn it. You're not sure? Maybe we should test this out. Let me ask you a question. When you were 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, and you needed money, what did your parents say to you? Did they say, well, then go out there and earn some passive income? Did they say that? What did they do? Go to work. Go get a... And that's exactly what we did. We went to work. And we learned. What's the word? We learned that we work for money. We learned to have money, you must what? Raise your hand if you were taught that. Everybody was taught that. Yeah, and hard, too, for a lot of you. But money comes from work, yes or no? And so that's the dendrite. That's the neurological pathway. That's the path of least resistance in your brain. And it's unnatural. and completely unfamiliar and discomfortable for your brain to know passive income. It doesn't work for it. And so what happens is either people don't start in that arena, or if they do start, they get a little ways and then they sabotage themselves to go right back to 72 degrees. What the thermostat is set for, which is working for money. Do you understand that? Let me say this right now. Familiar Mind Intensive, when you walk out of there, you will be reconditioned so that passive income is your path of least resistance. It will be the primary way that you prefer, believe, and act in accordance with creating money. Good or good? It'll be a natural thing for you. Good? Now, let me say this also. You're also going to learn the world's easiest money management method. Managing your money is another critical difference between rich people and poor and middle class people. I'm going to tell you a story that can change your life. Are you willing? Yes. Are you willing? Yes. Imagine you're with a 5-year-old child. You're walking down the street. You come across an ice cream store. And you go into the store and get the child a single scoop of ice cream on a cone because they don't have any cups. The child is only 5 years old. They have very little hands. They're kind of wobbly. And as they walk out the door, it jostles them, and the ice cream falls out of the cone onto the ground. Being the kind and generous person that you are, what do? You walk back into the store, and just as you're about to order another scoop of ice cream, the child sees the poster on the wall of the triple scooper. And they go, I want that triple scoop. And now, being the kind and generous person that you are, do you now get them the triple scoop or not? No, of course not. Why would you set them up to fail? They couldn't even handle one scoop. What, are you going to load them down with 3 scoops now? Let me say this right now, my friends. We live in a loving and supportive universe. The universe wants you to win. It wants to support you. But it has the same rule. And the rule is simply this. And I'm going to nail half of you right now as to why you're not doing better with your money. It's simple. Until you show you can handle what you've already got, you won't get any more. Most people are walking around with 1 or 2 scoops dripping all over the place. It's a complete mess. And they're going, give me more, give me more. And the universe is going, why? I gave you more. Look what you did with it. Some of you are laughing nervously. Let me say this right now. You're going to learn the simplest, easiest, most effective way to handle money that you've ever seen in your life. A 5-year-old can do it, and 5-year-olds do it. And when you start handling your money like this, when you simply show whatever you believe in, whatever universal power, whatever yourself, your inner self, whatever you want to show, when you simply show that you can handle what you've already got, even if it's just $1, you watch. And I don't use this word lightly, but you watch as miracles occur for you. Things you could have never dreamed of, things you could have never planned of. They just start happening for you. Why? Simple. When the child can hold a single scoop, you are very willing to get him another scoop. True or true? True or true? How many of you got a big hit out of that one right there? Okay? You need to start handling your money in a very easy and effective way. Now, in short, you're going to learn a step-by-step method for winning the money game so that you never have to work again unless you choose to. Raise your hand if you'd like to have that choice. Raise your hand if you'd like to have the choice a lot sooner than later. Then we'll see you there. Now, part 2 is the inner game, conditioning yourself for natural and automatic success. And in this section, listen to this, we actually identify your current money blueprint. And using several extremely high-impact processes, we actually change your blueprint right on the spot, right there, right on site, right on the premises, right that weekend. We don't teach you how to change your blueprint and send you home to change it. Why? Because you won't. Why? Because we're creatures of what? Habit. Now, here's the thing. Did you know that there's 2 kinds of habits? How many? 2. How many? 2. There's doing habits, but just as importantly, my friends, there's not doing habits. And everything you're in the habit of, everything that you're not doing right now, you are in the habit of not doing it. So we can send you home with anything, but you're not going to what? Do it. So we don't wait for you to go home. We do it right there on the spot. You walk in with one blueprint, you walk out with another one set for automatic and natural success. People ask me all the time, they say, Harv, do you have the Midas touch? And what do I answer? I go, no. I have a blueprint set for success, just like all of you can have. I look so forward to seeing you again soon. I hope I've served you in some way. Thank you so much.